crafters, my name's Caitlin and this is my channel Because I'm Crafty. Today I have a new DIY for you. So today crafters, I'm going to show you guys how to make your own portable creativity surface that has a hard surface on the front and a soft pillow surface on the back, so you can use this on your lap and take it anywhere. You can do your homework, your art, any kind of craft, anything. It's really great for taking in the car, give it to kids and they can do activities on it in the car while still being relaxed with a nice pillow on their lap. So let's get started.
So the first thing you're going to need is a sewing machine. If you don't have one, you can also use fabric glue. Just follow the same steps and make sure you allow it time to dry. You're going to need some fabric as well. You can use an old t-shirt if you don't have any fabric. A button and a needle. This is kind of something that is part of my board, but if your board doesn't have a handle, you don't need it, but you'll see that. Some pins to pin your fabric together when you're sewing. You'll need a ruler or measuring tape to measure your fabric in your board, and of course you're going to need your board or a flat tray of some sort, some Velcro, some scissors, and your measurements, and that's it, guys.
So the first thing you want to do is measure your board. I measured mine 1 inch down from the side with the handle because I wanted a space to put my hands if I ever wanted to use the handle. So I measured from that 1 inch down to the bottom, and that was 12 inches. I measured from the top to the bottom, and that was 17 inches. I'm going to cut my fabric 12 by 17 inches because by the time I sew it, it's going to end up being a little bit smaller because of the seam allowance. So after measuring your board, you want to take your fabric and put the right sides together. That's the more colorful side. You don't want the white side together because when you unfold it, you'll have the wrong side out. So put your right sides together. And you want to pin all along the sides of your pillow. Then you want to take your tab strip, which is going to go around your handle, and you want to do the same thing. Put your right sides together, folding it in half, and pinning along the sides.
So right here I'm just sewing my tab together, making sure I'm sewing up one of the ends and all along the side. Really simple. I'm using a zigzag stitch just because my fabric is a little bit stretchy and it's going to be wrapping around the handle, so you might need a little bit of stretch to it. And yeah, that's basically it for the tab. Right here I'm just turning it right side out so that all the seams are on the inside and making sure I'm pushing out the corners. So next you want to take your big piece of fabric or your t-shirt, whatever you're using, and find the very middle on the long end. And I'm just putting a pin in the very middle, and that's where you're going to insert your tab. Now if you don't have a tab and you don't have a handle on your board, just totally skip this step. You don't have to use a tab. I just used mine because I thought it would make it a little more cute. So I'm just placing my tab where the middle of that pin is, then I'm just going to sew it all up. And make sure when you're sewing your case together that you're going to leave a hole so that you can turn it right side out and stuff it. So that's just what I'm doing right here, and then I'm just going along and sewing up the rest of the pillowcase. So here you can see I've left my hole, and I'm just cutting off the corners but not my seam, so that when I turn it right side out and I push the corners out, there's not as much bulk inside when you cut them off, and then it just makes a sharper corner. It just looks nicer. So now I'm just turning it right side out, making sure those corners are all pushed out. Here I am cutting my Velcro so that I can fit it onto my board with the length that I want. I'm just cutting my strips in half just because they're really long. So now I'm just cutting them to the length that I want, and then I'm going to be putting them on my board. Now these ones have a sticky back on them already, so I'm just sticking them down with the adhesive that's already on them. Next, I'm placing my pillowcase on top of my board, and you can kind of feel where the Velcro is that you put on the board that's underneath. So I'm just kind of feeling along and placing the Velcro on top of my fabric, just over top of that part where you can feel the Velcro. So after you've put your Velcro on your fabric, you can turn it over and just make sure that it fits on good and that it's in the right spot and that you like the way it's fitting. So the next thing you need to do is take some stuffing, or if you don't have any stuffing, you can just take some cotton balls or cotton pads and kind of piece them with your hands and kind of make them come apart so you can kind of make your own stuffing. So just stuff your pillowcase that you made however you like it. And so now I'm going to take my pillow off of my board and I'm going to sew up the hole that I left for my stuffing. So if you don't have a sewing machine, fabric glue works totally fine for this step as well. I'm just making sure I'm pinning this really well because sometimes it likes to move when the stuffing's pushing on the seam. So just go really slow and just make sure it stays in one spot. Cut your thread. So now that I have the hole sewn up, I'm going to stick it back on my board, make sure it fits nicely. Using the tab to wrap around my handle, I'm going to find the spot where I want my button to go. Again, if you don't have the handle or the tab, just skip this step and you don't need to do it if you don't have one. So now that I have my button sewn on, I'm going to take my tab over to my sewing machine and use a zigzag stitch and sew in a box. I'm just going to go around the box a few times, like over and over and over, so that it can make my own buttonhole. Now if you have a buttonhole option on your sewing machine, you can go ahead and use that, but I find that I can just use a zigzag stitch, a small zigzag stitch for this step because it's just really simple and easy. And again, if you're using fabric glue, then you can use the same step. Just cut a hole in your tab and put some fabric glue inside the hole and just press your edges down so that you have a hole for your buttons. Now you can just take some really small scissors and just cut your hole really carefully so that you have a hole for your button to go through. Now I'm taking my tab and making sure the hole is big enough for my button, and then placing my pillow on my board and putting the tab around the handle with the button, and that's basically it, guys. You're done. Really cute, simple, and fun.
Make sure you guys check out the Because I'm Crafty Instagram account where you can share your photos with me, #BecauseI'mCrafty, so that I can see your photos and then maybe I can feature them sometime. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, crafters. Bye!